True. Before we wrap up tonight's show, Dave, they want to talk New Jack. Did you watch the Dark Side of the Ring episode?
I did. I had to look. I'm going to be hard to follow the show this season because I had to look for it on YouTube just to be able to watch it because they're not posting them no more for me.
Now, they did drop in the ratings, obviously. New Jack is not someone that everybody's going to tune in to watch. Obviously, you got the Chris Benoit story to kick off this season. So it's going to, blow out the ratings roof. And last night's show didn't do that great in the ratings, but it was still, I thought, a really, really good show and a very good insight on New Jack, who I really didn't know much about. And, when you kind of look at things from instead of diving in, you think New Jack, well, he is a little bit of an asshole, but you're wondering why he did specific things like the stabbings and the throwing off the Vic Grimes off the scaffold and all that stuff. And you see why he did the certain things. His childhood to the reasons of, his opponents saying certain things to him, like the two where he had to, the transit spot where a kid gets picked up by Paulie, right? He sees video of them wrestling two midgets, and Paulie's impressed with him, brings him into an ECW show, teams him up with Devon. He wants to get in some offense with New Jack, which New Jack just thought was disrespectful because he's like, who's this rookie telling me what to do and what he wants to have? And I think he said what he wanted him to lay it on him as well, and he wanted to bleed, and he made him bleed. He had a kind of a blade, and he slit his forehead. He ended up having to get 50-something stitches. He ended up stabbing someone because he called him the N-word and was hitting him with some pretty stiff shots, trying to make him look like a fool out there. And then Vic Grimes, who agreed to do a spot and then tries to back out of it during the show and ends up cracking his skull and losing sight in his right eye. He says he has insomnia, he has headaches constantly. But he was constantly on coke pretty much every match that he had. New Jack was probably not a very pleasure guy to have a match with, I can tell you that. What did you think of the Dark Side episode last night, Dave? Pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, the mass transit incident is really famous, which is the one that you were talking about originally with the kid going. The real reason New Jack hated the kid is because he came up to him, which they didn't know it was a kid either.
Yeah, he lied about his age, yes.
Not that, but but he came up and said he wanted to do stuff and put New Jack to a table and all that and do offense. Like, in the wrestling business, you don't go up to a veteran and say you want to do stuff, type of stuff. So that's what pissed him off. And then he said he tried to make him bleed, and then he wouldn't bleed, so he was making him mad, so he started slicing at his forehead till he bled, and he bled from ear to ear.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He said
it was bad.
Yeah. Jack was heavy on coke, so that's no excuse. That's true. I mean, the dude probably lost it. New Jack, I don't know how to feel about him, to be honest with you. Like, I felt bad for him because he had a rough childhood. But then again, you have to think about some of it had to be, put on himself as well. When you're doing a drug like that, I'm sure he's not easy to work with. And especially with a guy with like him, the attitude that he portrays, you had to have been someone special for him to even agree to do stuff with him or, do stuff with him inside that ring. It's just weird how once he left, what was the Jim Cornette?
Smoky Mountain?
Once he left Smoky Mountain, things went pretty much downhill for him. I know he was a pretty big heel at Smoky Mountain, and he was getting, the racial slurs and all that stuff, but he was still having matches. He was still performing at a pretty good level. I'm not sure if he was still doing coke or not during that time. I don't remember if they mentioned that or not. But it seems like once he got picked up by ECW, that's when the heavy shit started to begin. And that's when it started to kind of just going downhill for New Jack. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree because it seems like the Smoky Mountain was a controlled environment And when he went to ECW, it really wasn't a controlled environment. Everyone was going to be more extreme and do more and more and more and try to outdo each other each night. And it became everyone doing crazy shit. I mean...
Yeah, I think they were saying they were drinking in the locker room and shit like that. So it was just a
lot
wild
of crazy
time.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff you were talking about, yeah, like with that one guy, wanted to work with him, and then he hit him a couple times, and then he stabs him. I don't know. It's like, I mean, what would... I don't understand if you... I don't get it, but yeah. Maybe I'll never understand it. But just because someone punches you stiff a couple times, punch them back stiff a couple times. That's what I always heard the old saying. If you get some stiff shots, give a couple back, but...
Yeah, the dude just went up, straight up, grabbed the damn razor blade or whatever out of his pocket and stabbed him, 8 times or something around those lines? Like,
yeah.
Imagine if that happened in that time, in today's times, the dude would be in jail. Like, no doubt.
Well, he did get in jail for that. He did get arrested for it, but they dropped the charges.
Yeah, well, the wrestler, the guy he faced, I can't remember his name. Was it Red or something around those lines?
Something like that. Yeah, Red.
Visited him in prison and said, "I'll drop the charges, but I want to work the Florida indie scene with you. I want to build this up as a feud, as a revenge tour." And New Jack said, "All right, let's do it." He drops the charges, gets out, and he fucking moves. He leaves to say, so he fucking conned the dude to let him loose. 9, he counted. What was it? The thing he said before he threw him off the scaffold? He tased the dude. He tased him. He tased the guy. He tells him, "New Jack, I can't feel my legs." He said, "You're not going to need your legs." And he just threw him off the fucking scaffold and tried to kill the man. Luckily, he only, separated his ankle or something around those lines. That is just wild, man.
I think someone like that existed who had was that screwed up in the head where he just did all this crazy shit. He didn't care. He didn't follow your normal wrestling rules. And they said that's why too much controversy why he never came to the WWE, because they didn't know you can't control the guy. I mean, you can't. No one can control him. And then all the other stuff he did, like Gypsy Joe guy, he said how he just beat the crap out of that guy because he kept hearing the N-word yelled at him and stuff like that. He was
racking him with the baseball bat into the face with barbed wire on it, dude. Like, holy shit. Like, it was brutal. That one he did on the transit guy, he did an elbow drop off the top rope with the chair, and it was brutal. Like, bad. Like, golly. That was Vic Grimes.
Like
Grimes almost killed New Jersey like a year before that. New Jack a year before that. Yeah, we talked about that MLW, but we're talking about how crazy that man was, the other shit that he did. New Jack thought the guy was serving him up and was going to kill him if he didn't run. Really? Is that why he did that? I didn't know that. But he did run after we hit Skep Gel. Beat up a 100-year-old man last. New Jack, yes. It looked like the ropes broke some of his fall from the scaffolding, or he would have died. Yeah, he definitely...
Yeah, the direction he fell was in the ring and stuff like that, yeah. I remember watching that show. Seeing that happen, I'm like, holy shit.
That's just wild, man. Wild, wild, wild. And next week's show is going to be... it's going to be good. Next week's show is Brawl for All. It's going to be the Brawl for All, so... that should be fun.
Cornette and Russo.
Yeah, Cornette and Russo and Jim Ross, and it looks like Bart Gunn's making an appearance in it. So it should be a good episode. I'm looking forward to that. I'm curious to see what all went down.
I can watch it
with Cornette and Vince Russo. Yeah, I think that's.
I assume they're not going to be in the same room.
No, not.